Hello students, good afternoon and welcome to our class today. Today we will continue our lesson on area and that of a perimeter. In this first clip we will be looking at area specifically, so that in the second clip we look at perimeter. So first, what is an area? An area is the amount of space inside the boundary of a flat 2D object or a surface of a solid 3D object. That means if we have this 2D shape that is a rectangle, the space that these four lines are covering is what we call the area. Okay, so how do you calculate your area then? The method for calculating your area is your length of the 2D shape that you have times, which is multiplied by the width of the shape that we have. So if we are using this as an example, we have our length here and then we have our width also over here. So we need to multiply our length with our width as we discussed previously. Okay, so this is how the formula is going to look like. An area will be equal to length times your width. Okay. So how do you look for an area of a square when you have a square as well? We all know that square is having all the four sides equal. So whenever you have a square and one side is given, it means the other side is equal to what you have been given already. So now we're going to use our formula to look for the area of this square, and that is going to be area will be equal to 5 multiplied by 5. So this is going to give us 25 centimeters square. Okay, we always put a square when we are working with area because there are two units of measurements that we are multiplying. So that means it has to bear the square sign. So it's going to be 25 centimeter square. You don't forget about that. Now, when you have a rectangle whereby your length is longer than that of your width, how do you calculate your area as well? The same way, we have to multiply our length with our width, okay? So with this, our area is also going to be equal to 10 multiplied by 5, okay? And that will be equal to 50 centimeters square. Okay, so this is the difference when you have a square and then when you have a rectangle that you are dealing with. In the case of the rectangle, you have all the two sides given to you, but in most cases when you have a square, you only have one side. So don't forget that all the four sides are equal when you are dealing with a square. Now, when you have a little bit complex figure or drawing whereby you could see like it doesn't look like a rectangle, it doesn't look like a square, how do you find the area of such particular shapes, which is called a composite figure? In the case of a composite figure, what you have to do is that you need to close certain parts of your figure so that you could see a rectangle or you could see a square, and then you deal with them as squares or you deal with them as a rectangle. So when we look at this figure, we can close these points so that this side will be a complete rectangle and then this side will also be a complete rectangle. Okay, so let's close this end. Okay, so we close this end, and now we can say that we have A here and then we have B here. So what we need to do is to look for the area of this rectangle A, and then we look for the area of this rectangle B, and then we add the two together. That will give us the total area size of our composite figure. So we say that area A will be equal to 10 multiplied by 4. Okay, so 10 multiplied by 4, and that will give us 40 centimeters square. So that will be for our area A. Then we look for area B. Okay, so area B will be 5 multiplied by 2. So that will be 5 multiplied by 2, and that will be equal to 10 centimeter square. Now we are looking for the area of A and that of B, so we need to add the two together. Okay, so we say A plus B, which is our area A and area B, will be 40 plus our 10, and that will be equal to 50 centimeter square. So that is going to give you your total area size of your composite figure. You'll be having your first activity, which is task 1, posted to you to also have some exercises and practice on this particular lesson. Afterwards, we meet in our second video. Hello class, welcome to our second video. On this video, we will also look at the other aspect of our topic today. On the first one, we look at area, and now we are going to look at a perimeter. So, what is a perimeter? That's the first thing we need to understand, and then how we can find perimeter of our shapes. So, a perimeter is the distance around the edge. That means when you have your shape like this, the 4 lines that are making your rectangle complete is what we call the perimeter. Okay, so that means we have 2 lengths. We have this length up, and then we have the length other down, and then we have the width here, and then we have also the width here. So we have 4 lines making our shape complete. Now, how do you find the perimeter? Because our length is 2, we have the up length and then we have the below length. We can say that perimeter, okay, is equal to length. Okay, so let's use L for our length. We'll multiply by 2, okay, we'll put it in a bracket, plus our width, which we can say W, also multiply by 2. Okay, so our length multiplied by 2 plus our width multiplied by 2 will give us the perimeter. Because we are using this, is that our length is 2. We have one length here and then we have another length here. Width is here and then width is also here. You can also say that your perimeter is equal to length plus width plus width. It's also the same as the first one that we have. So you choose the one that is easy for you to do that of your perimeter. There is always a 4 items that you need to add together to have that of your perimeter. So let's see how we can look for perimeter for square and then the other shapes that we have. So we're going to use P for perimeter, okay? So we're looking for perimeter of this square. We know that one side is 5. And then we are dealing with 4 sides, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply by 4 because it's a square. And that is going to give us 20 centimeters, okay? In the case of the perimeter, we don't add the square here. We only write the units that we are dealing with. You don't put a square here because it's basically an addition. We are adding all the 4 sides to get our answer, okay? Okay, so now let's see how we can deal with a rectangle. It's also having the 4 sides. We have the width to be 5 and like that, okay? So we say P will be equal to, so we make 10 multiplied by 2, we put into bracket, plus 5 multiplied by 2. Okay, so we know that this will give us 20 and then this will give us 10. So total for P will be 30 centimeters. That will be for our perimeter. Okay, on the last one we come back to our composite figure and then we look for the perimeter. Again, we will maintain our close line so that we'll have A, perimeter A, and then we have perimeter also for B. So perimeter A, which is PA, we have 10 and that of 4. Okay, so we're going to have 10 multiplied by 2 plus 4, which is also 2. So we're going to have 4 multiplied by 2. So this is going to give us 20 and then this is going to give us 8. So perimeter for A, total perimeter for A will be equal to 28 centimeters. Okay, so we have to look for perimeter for B as well. So perimeter for B will be equal to 5 times 2. It is not this 2, it is 5 here and 5 here. Okay, so 5 multiplied by 2, that will be equal to 10. And then we look for the other side, which is 2 multiplied by 2, and that will also give us 4. So our perimeter B will be equal to 14 centimeters. Okay, now because we are looking for the whole composite figure perimeter, we need to add the two together. So that will be total perimeter will be equal to, we're going to have 2 here and then we have 42 centimeters. Okay, so we're going to have 42 centimeters for that of our total perimeter. I hope you have followed the steps very carefully and you'll be able to do your own exercise on this particular side. Again, your second activity will be posted to you for you to do it. We'll meet in our last video to complete our lesson. Hello students, how well have you enjoyed our lesson today? I believe that you have enjoyed our lesson very good and you have followed every bit of it and your understanding is 100% and probably more. On this last section, we'll be doing our review on what we have studied today. Today's lesson has been on area and that of a perimeter. An area is the amount of space that is within the boundaries of whatever object or shape that you are dealing with. Whereas a perimeter is the distance around the edge. That means when you live in a room, the space within the room that you live in becomes the area. And then the 4 walls, the length of the 4 walls that make your room also becomes your perimeter. So as it was displayed in our first video, we solved some questions or some activities relating to area, from square to rectangle to that of a composite figure. The same way on our second episode, we also dealt with perimeter. We looked at how we can look for a perimeter for that of a square, because square is having all the 4 sides equal. That means when one side is given, you should automatically know the amount of length of the other side as equal as what you have been given already. The formula for finding your perimeter is either you use the length multiplied by 2 plus the width multiplied by 2 and then you add the two together, or you can do addition of all the 4 sides and then you get your total answer. When you are dealing with a composite figure, the best way for you to do is to demarcate. That means you have to segment. That means you have to group them into smaller shapes that you can get a defined rectangle or square, so that you can look for either the area of that squares and then you put them together, or you look for the perimeters of that square and then you put them together. The same way, if you want to find that of the perimeter in a composite figure, you demarcate. That means you have to group them into the number of shapes that you can find and then find your perimeter and then you put them together. So over here we first found the perimeter for that of rectangle A, that gave us 28, and then rectangle B, that gave us 14, and then we put the 2 together and the 2 gives us 42 centimeters. That is equal to the total perimeter size of our composite figure. Thank you so much for joining this section in our class today. Enjoy your holidays and then we'll meet next week. Stay safe. Goodbye.